Okay, Christian Webb here with another tutorial in my retouching. Let's get right into it. Going with this image. I think I originally might have said that I was going to go with this image, but we're going to go with this one. Not for any other particular reason. I don't know why, but I think because in this one she's wearing a jacket, and I wanted to demonstrate some of the stuff I do regarding shoulder work or clothing work. All right, so we're going to get right into it. First thing I do is just duplicate my layer. Boom. That's pretty standard. Keep in mind that when I do these tutorials, I'm not. I'm doing this very rough, like with the idea or understanding that you know Photoshop to a certain degree. So that's the thing to keep in mind. I'm not getting really granular with like details about every little thing. So it's going to be very straightforward, and I welcome any questions or anything that's if you want to get deeper on something, just comment or do whatever later in the section. All right, so there's a couple ways to handle this, right? First thing I do is look immediately and see what my issues are, and I can see the under eye issue here, right, which is perfectly normal, late night maybe, whatever, okay? Makeup, little area here that's kind of bright, little areas in here, the neck in here, and then the forehead obviously is the thing that stands out the most for me. And then the jewelry is an optional thing. So she's got an earring on and she's got a necklace. The necklace is not anything blingy or crazy, so technically I could leave it, but I'll probably take it out. And this earring I'll probably take out as well. Probably fix this shoulder, get rid of this little bit of bokeh back here that's hanging, that's like right behind her. And that's about it. We'll do some eye work, and that's it. I keep saying that's it, right? That's it. There's a couple ways to handle this skin. You can do frequency separation, which is very, very popular. And if you know frequency separation, if you don't know it, you need to figure out how to actually set it up in Photoshop. You can Google that and learn about that. Again, I'm not going to go into the detail on that. I actually have an action for it, and I'll talk about that in a second. The other way to handle this is I can literally do most of the skin work here, in this case, using the clone stamp tool. I can take the clone stamp tool, set it to different modes, either to darken, to kind of just lightly handle that, or I can do it with, put it on lighten, and I can handle these areas down here, and then put it on normal and just clone in some of the areas. I'm going to use frequency separation for this first tutorial just to get it done. All right, but first what we're going to do is go over to our spot healing brush. I like to go, whoa, okay. I'm on a Wacom tablet, so, and I'm not like Aaron Nace with this whole thing. I'm not that great. So we're going to go here, and I can't, 1 second. Let's just get over here. And we're just going to take out the spots. I mean, this is the easy part. This is the simple stuff. We're just taking out the little blemishes and the tiny little things. You can zoom in even closer if you want. Sometimes you don't want to be too close in, too zoomed in. You want to kind of get a feel of the whole landscape of the face and see what's going on. And you'll have a better look at it that way. And tendency sometimes, if you zoom in too much and you get in there, you'll see so much stuff. You'll just want to keep taking everything out, and it's at some point it does not serve your purposes very well. The retouching process, with a headshot, the idea is to keep it looking as natural as possible. That's what we're trying to go for. It's not beauty work. We're not trying to sell makeup or make this so clean and perfect. That's the last thing we want. So I literally come in and I just do these little things here. I get it to a point where the obvious stuff is coming out, okay, and then I move on to the next thing. In this case, there's not much going on. There's not a ton of blemishes and a whole bunch of like really radical skin changes and dramatic stuff going on. Anything that's natural, like a mole or something along those lines, I usually, pretty much always will leave them unless the client specifically asks something to be removed. If it's a scar or something, I usually recommend that they don't, depending on how prominent it is. If it's a scar that's very obvious when they walk into a room for casting, I tell them don't take that out, and I won't take it out, or a mole or something like that. However, if it's a scar that is tiny or something it's not even noticeable. It's only noticeable because I'm zoomed in and it's 36 megapixels and it's brightly lit. Then I might take it out. But if you don't see it with the human eye, and a lot of this stuff you don't see with the human eye, that's something to keep in mind. I have clients who will, beautiful clients who will look at their images when they're blown up on the screen if they're with me, and they're like, whoa, and they see every tiny little thing, a little dent and indent on their face and whatever, and they just think it's, horrible. But I have to explain to them that, you could take Monica Bellucci, Halle Berry, and if you throw light into their face and zoom in and at 36 megapixels, you'll see all sorts of imperfections as well. So that's just a little piece of information. All right, so I'm pretty much, actually, I might just come in a little closer. And under this lip here, depending on, okay, so there's like tiny little issues here. They're small. There's like little tiny lines. I'm being a little particular here about this. It's not necessary again, but just depends on your artistic eye and the way you see it. If there's a divot here and it's kind of like deep, you have to watch that because there'll be shadows and you kind of have to figure out how you're cleaning that area up. You don't want to remove certain shadows and things that would be natural. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you do work in here. She doesn't have much of an indent, so I'm not really ruining anything in there. All right, now that I'm zoomed in, you see how I'm starting to pick up and see things, little more things. Okay, so I just, I'm not scientific at this. I'm not Aaron Nace and those guys. Those guys are freaking geniuses. I just do what I have to do. I just look at it, use your eye, and figure it out. Just look for the little imperfections. Don't go crazy, okay? And then zoom out. Take a look at what you've done already. It's going to be hard to see sometimes. I mean, you've got to go back in at this level just to see how much you've taken off, and you can see what I've done already. Now, to keep this moving along smooth and quick, we finished that. We're going to go straight into the frequency separation. Now, I have an action for this. Julie Kuzmenko, who is a beauty, fashion, commercial photographer, retoucher, master photographer. She is. If you don't know who Julia Kuzmenko is, I recommend stopping the video, Googling her, finding her on Facebook, doing whatever you have to do, hunt her down and find her work because she is absolutely a master, beyond master. She's insane. And she has a couple of beauty tutorials out there and such, and I purchased and I got some actions from her. One of them is for frequency separation. So I have it already set up. I don't need to actually create like the layers for that. I just basically just play the action. So it's a small cheat. And I have several things from her, and I'm going to be using a couple more later, and I'll show you what they are. But I go into the low frequency layer, I grab my healing brush tool, and now we're going to start to clean up the skin. So I don't like to be too far in. This is another situation where you don't want to be too far in, too zoomed in. You need to be able to kind of stand back and look and see the imperfections. So I look at the gradients in the skin tone and the light areas versus the dark area and the little blotchy areas, and I literally just come in here and start cleaning up with my brush. I will change the brush size depending on the area, but you got to watch that. And I just start working here. This is literally, there's nothing scientific here. It's straight just going for broke and doing what you got to do. And you'll see what you're doing. You'll see the changes in the skin, how it's starting to match. And you're getting rid of the little dark areas. Watch the hairline around here. Sometimes you have to pay attention that there's going to be natural shadows. I'm sorry if I got a little low there. You're going to notice that there's natural shadows. And you have to kind of retain that. Like right here. This shadow is coming from this piece of hair. Now, I don't want to necessarily get rid of it, but I do want to clean this a little bit because I have to clean the edges over here. So you're just coming in, you're slightly making these little adjustments. You can't get too close to, with the frequency separation, I usually stay away from edges like this, like the eyes or down here, the lips, like right here, because this will just smudge in a weird way. So I got to undo that. So I saved the clone stamp to get in there a little more accurately on that. But I'm going to keep going with her skin here. You can see the little areas that are cleaning up. I hope you can see this on the video. Again, I'm not shooting this, or I should say recording this on super elegant screen recording, screencasting software. This is QuickTime. And I'm just trying to get the work done to show you what's what. So please forgive the quality of my screencast. All right. So you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully it's showing up that I'm just poking around and I'm literally just trying to get a sense of where those skin changes are. The little, it's a tedious process. It takes patience. Photoshop is nothing more than patience and knowing which tools to use for the right time. There's 1,000 ways to do this. So let me also state that. Again, I am such no master at this whatsoever. I'm just a regular photographer who knows how to do his work. Like I've become comfortable with what it is I need to do. And that's one of the things I can recommend. It's just find what you need to do for your work and get really good at that. Master those few tools. And that's how you'll get better. This area here, there's so many ways to lick this. Okay, I can go with the clone stamp, like I said at the beginning. I can go in there, just set it to lighten, like 4 or 5%, and just swipe over this, and it'll be gone. While I'm using frequency separation, I can just go in and do it that way, and it works perfectly fine, so long as you retain the natural, that the creases under her over here. You don't remove any of that. So long as you just clean it nice and you make sure that the colors are all blended well, you're good. And again, you're dealing with makeup, so depending on how great your makeup artist is or how bad your makeup artist is, that's going to make a difference with your retouch, with how much you have to retouch versus how much you don't have to retouch. In this case, it's not bad. She's got great skin. She's a beautiful girl, and the makeup was okay. So I don't have a big to do here. All right, but it's enough. Now over here, you see this area? I need to go in and kind of do this the best I can. It seems like it's going to be a little troublesome because it's a weird, I don't know what it is. It's like dry skin or just the way the makeup is lying there. I don't quite know, but I'm going to do the best I can. And that's all you can do, is do the best you can. Come in here and just look for the changes in skin tone and try to adjust them. I am doing this very fast and very sloppily, so don't mind that. I would recommend doing this a little slower, obviously. And if I wasn't recording this, I'd probably be, taking my time with it. I'd have a glass of wine in front of me, I'd be playing my music, and I'd just be kind of relaxing while I do this. I'm rushing this. Okay, so you can see around the area here. A lot of this you have to be mindful of too, whether you're using frequency separation or the clone stamp, that there's a natural shadow under that lip there. And you kind of have to watch it. You don't want to erase that. Sometimes people have a certain amount of hair there on guys, on women. It's natural. There'll be something, you'll see hairs and stuff. And you might need to go in and clean that up, depending on how it looks and how the light is hitting that area. Then that's how you would deal with that. But just be mindful that that area right there, there's a natural shadow under that lip. That's another thing. I mean, I mentioned it before. I touched upon it before when we were talking about this hair here. There are natural shadows that you need to be mindful of when you're retouching so that you don't eliminate them, because it will just make things look funny. All right, I'm going to just zoom out a little bit here. Okay. And take a look at what we've done. All right, if we come over here, boom. That's where we are so far. Now I can do much more work. Let me just move this process along and keep going. If you look at the neck area here, right? You see these areas, this is darker here, and you got these little patches of whatever that is. The skin is just a little darker. I'm just going to go in and I'm going to clean that up a little bit. Just a touch, okay? It is literally just like, I don't know, like painting. I was looking for a decent metaphor there. Something, it's like painting or just paying attention to your subject and seeing what looks out of place, what doesn't look out of place, and then just going in and cleaning it up a little bit. That's all it is. And it's just knowing which tool and how to use a tool best. Looking at it from this distance, I can see still the gradients and the changes here in the forehead. And I'm just going to, from this distance, I'm going to try to clean that up a little bit more. Whoops. Okay. Let's back that up. And then I will make a decision when I look at it again. Back that up. Okay. So that's pretty much where I want to be with the frequency separation. Let's look at it from, let me look at it. So you see the neck area cleaned, forehead, under the eyes, all pretty standard, straightforward stuff. Under the lip there and the side of the mouth, the left side of the mouth there. I could do a little more in here. Again, watch your brush size when you're doing this, because you need to be in the right areas, sampling the right areas when you do this. And if your brush size is too large, it will take different areas of skin and it'll turn into a sloppy mess. So try to keep that in mind. All right, so this looks fine to me. All right, moving on. Let me just try to fix this a little more. Bear with me. I never realized that doing this can seem so boring. I mean, I feel like, oh, I got to somehow keep them entertained, or I need to keep talking. But this is such a Zen-like kind of thing, really. Retouching is one of the reasons, it's another reason why I don't send out my retouching unless I absolutely have to. And then I send it to Joe Bonner over at Colorworks New York, NYC. But it's a Zen-like thing for me. It's part of my job. It's kind of like I shot the person. I know what I need this to look like, and I know what the final result should look like. So I need to take that upon myself. So that's why I recommend people learn their own retouching and learn how to execute their vision with their photography. All right, here's a little trick. Now, I did the frequency separation here, okay? And I got that action from Julie Kuzmenko, like I said. Now I'm going to basically merge this group, and I'm just going to merge it down, okay, into that layer. Now, again, I'm moving very fast. Normally, I may have taken my time. It would have been completely different, but I'm moving fast for this video. Now, Julia has a thing called digital skin texture. This is like a secret weapon I don't think a lot of people know about. Maybe you do. I don't know. Forgive me for saying that. But she's got an action called digital skin texture, which applies basically pores and skin texture. So I basically take my brush tool, set it at like 9, maybe 10 for flow at 100% opacity, and adjust my brush, get a medium to like large brush, it's soft, and I just paint in some digital skin texture. What that does is when you do frequency separation, or if you do any clone stamping, if I had done this with clone stamping, it softens up and you lose texture. Like you can definitely see it in here. It'll start to look soft and it won't look natural. You'll notice it. So what the digital skin texture does is it applies kind of this, I don't know how she does it. It's kind of I guess it's grain. It's like with a few other little things and magical touches. I'm sure Julia can explain it much better. But it just adds, like whenever you're taking away texture, you need to be able to kind of put it back. And this is a secret way of just putting it back. I'm saying secret like it's a big deal, but I've talked to a few people about it. They didn't know about it. So, all right, it is if I zoom in more, maybe you will see it. It's not always noticeable right away, but it does make a difference, especially when you've done, I'm toggling this on and off. I don't know if you can see it. You can definitely see it down by the mouth. Sometimes it's going to look a little funky, and you can just pull back the opacity a little bit and just, so it doesn't look crazy. And, there you have it. So we are officially here now. So we went from that to this. So we're starting to look good. I'm going to end this now, and I'm going to go to another part of this. I guess it will technically be part 3 because I did the other video before. So I will come back with part 3, and we'll go into the eyes, removing the jewelry, and a few other things we can wrap up. All right? And until then, I will see you.